As a 10-year Dave Ramsey follower, I never thought I'd be making this video. Stay tuned. Welcome everybody to the Brandon Boyd Show. Thanks so much for watching this video. As always, don't forget to be awesome and subscribe to the channel, like the video. We really appreciate it. So in our series of videos of what Dave Ramsey gets right and wrong, it is now time for the parts that Dave Ramsey gets wrong.
Wrong.
I never thought I would say those words. When I first started following Dave Ramsey, I followed it to the letter. Everything that he said, I lived and breathed it. But I have found 5 things that he gets wrong in many, many cases, and we are going to talk about it today. Let's get started. The first thing that Dave Ramsey gets wrong is in regards to credit cards, points, and miles. Now this is going to sound crazy. If you followed Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, you know for a fact that Dave thinks that credit cards are evil. They're really, really scary and should be avoided at all costs. 70% of Americans have a credit card. Almost half of those people carry some sort of balance month to month. So there is some consideration into what he's saying that they are somewhat evil.
Evil?
But not quite as bad as you think. Credit card companies are in the marketing business. They will send a credit card application to you, your wife, your dead dog that died 10 years ago. They'll send it to anybody. Almost anybody can get an application, and a ton of people get accepted for their own credit cards. The reason that they do this is because they know that people will put money on the cards, they'll overspend. Ultimately, the credit card companies are winning because their goal is to get as many credit cards into the hands of as many people as possible, because a lot of them are going to carry balances forward, they're going to miss payments, and they're going to collect a ton of money on transaction fees and interest.
Show me the money.
They know what they're doing. So Dave is correct in being wary of credit card companies, but if used correctly and if you keep a focus on your credit card balance and your points and mileage usage, I believe that you can come up with a strategy that will actually help you win in the credit card game. But the key is going to be focus. So what if you're not like everybody else?
I'm not like other guys.
50% of credit card carriers carry some sort of balance from month to month, which means they're paying interest on those credit cards. But what if that's not you? If that's the case, then you can enjoy all those free introductory offers, the free hotel stays, the free points and miles, and you can actually come out ahead in the credit card game.
No way!
Now let me let you in on a little bitty secret. My wife and I had never owned a credit card of any kind until the last 12 months. That's really freaky. First of all, it shows that you can survive without one. But also, we started to look at the program a little bit and figured out, you know what? If you use points and miles correctly, if you never carry a balance, if you never pay interest, and you actually pay ahead on the card, then there's really nothing to lose. It's all about mindset and behavior and keeping focused on the goals that you have. If you sign up with a card with a goal to just put as much money as you can and carry as big a balance as you can, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, specifically if you're already in a ton of debt. What we learned was if we go ahead and set ourselves up financially by getting out of our initial debts, our student loans when we got out of college, and just saved up a bunch of money, we would have the flexibility to use these cards to our benefit to gain points and miles, and then immediately pay them off with our saved money.
And where would you get this saved money?
Well, where do you get this saved money? Well, hopefully you saved it at some point. We recommend doing all these things once you're financially stable enough to use the cards, because at that point, you are going to be winning the credit card game, and all the billions of dollars that the credit card companies are putting out, they're not going to manipulate you because you're already ahead. All you're going to be doing is collecting free flights, free miles, enjoying free vacations, and beating them at their own game.
Oops, winning.
If you want to see what kind of travel we are doing with our credit card miles and airline miles, comment down below. We're taking a lot of free trips, which is great. Free trips are the best trips. The second thing that Dave Ramsey gets wrong is car payments. Now, if you've spent any time listening to Dave's podcast or radio show or read any of his books, I've got a few of them. I've got like 5 or 6 of his books. I got a ton. He is very black and white when it comes to his advice on car payments. It's pretty simple. He says, don't get them. Not smart. Never get them under any circumstance.
Don't ever
What I've learned, again, going back to point number one, is that in a lot of cases, I could see where he's going with that, but there has to be a little bit of gray area to work with the rigidity of his program, and I think car payments fall directly into that. Now, Dave is correct in the sense that if you're financially struggling or you're barely getting by, maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't need the fanciest car on the road. All right, if you're a family of 4 and you're trying to tote your kids around, it doesn't give you full license just to go out and get the biggest, nicest minivan in the world with 4K Blu-ray players, solar panel on top, and 20-inch rotating hubcap spinner things. You don't need all that. You just need something to get you to and from wherever you're going, especially if you're starting out in your getting out of debt journey or just trying to figure things out. Don't go spend $50,000, $60,000 on these behemoth cars to carry 4 people around. You don't need it. Go find a good used car that's, $5,000. Now, some people don't have $5,000 just to drop down on a car like Dave says you should. In that case, I think it's okay if you're trying to scratch and claw and get ahead to get as small of a loan as possible to get a car that's reliable enough to get you where you need to go, whether that be to work, take your kids to school, or go to the grocery store. You don't want to spend all of your free time, especially if you're going paycheck to paycheck, going to and from the repair shop.
No time! There's never any time!
You want a car that is going to be reliable, so don't go get a junker that's going to break down every couple of weeks. You end up having to get it towed into, the tow shop or the body shop or whatever. Get something that's reliable enough to get the job done, but don't overdo it. So Dave is half right. Get a used car. He's correct on that. But if you have to get a teeny tiny loan, go do it, but pay it off as quickly as possible. The third thing that Dave Ramsey gets incorrect or wrong is paying for college, especially professional school. Now think about this. Dave says if you don't have the money to go to school at all, then you don't go. You just simply don't enroll. So what he is saying, if you want to be a doctor or physician and you are going to spend, upwards of a couple $100,000 to go through school, unless you have a couple $100,000 up front on hand, then don't go. The next thing he'll say is, well, if you don't have the money saved up, apply for scholarships and programs. That's fine for a handful of people that can get those, but in reality, there's not a scholarship for everybody. Okay, if we listened to that advice and everybody took that advice, we'd have a massive doctor shortage in the country. We can't do that. It's not going to work. It does not work for everybody. Again, this goes back to having flexibility within this program. Some things that he does get right, if you know that you're going to go to a professional school or a school that's going to cost a lot of money, apply for scholarships, look for work while you're in school.
No, no work today.
Work as much as you can in your undergrad work, knowing that you're going to help mitigate your damages on the amount of loans that you're going to take out. Your responsibility is to make sure that if you do have to take out loans, that you don't take out the maximum amount that you need. Do yourself a great service and try to work and earn money, and that way your loans at least aren't as big when you get out. The fourth thing that Dave Ramsey gets wrong, and I know this one from listening to a ton of his radio shows and a ton of his podcasts. Okay, his podcasts are free. Go on his website. You can look at his old shows. One thing that always drove me crazy when I listened to his shows was he does not know exactly how much take-home pay some people have. So I'll give you an example. A caller will call into his radio show and he says, well, how much do you make per year? The caller responds and he says, well, wait, you should have more coming home than that. Why are you bringing home so little? After doing a little bit of a discussion, it seems like they're pretty accurate. I don't believe that Dave accounts for, he accounts for federal taxes. He does live in the state of Tennessee, which has no state income tax. I know in Kentucky, where we are, there's a 6% income tax, so there's that. There's a local county tax. There's city taxes. People are having their health care insurance, their dental insurance, their vision insurance, maybe any kind of HSA account or child dependent care coming out of their check, but it seems like he doesn't take that into account when he's trying to help people budget their money. Everybody lives in different states, right? We all have different tax structures, and I don't believe that that's correctly accounted for when he's talking to people about their budget, because he will say, well, you should have $1,000 or $1,500 more coming into your paycheck.
Where's the rest? the money.
The caller will say, well, we've done our taxes and had somebody look over it. And he'll say, well, something's wrong. You need to have somebody else look at that. Is there a chance that the accounting people or that people doing the taxes could be correct?
No way, Jose!
I mean, I've done that myself. I've listened to his radio show several times, and he'll tell me how much somebody making $50,000 should be bringing home, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, that's a lot of money. It's not always accurate. There's no way it can be accurate because I know the money. I know what's coming out of my check every month. I've had my taxes checked through software services and 2 or 3 different accounting services, trying to look and make sure that I'm not missing some sort of magic Dave Ramsey math.
Ho, 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 it's magic!
Because apparently I'm supposed to be bringing home more than I am. What that can lead to is some bad financial advice sometimes, because if you simply say, well, go to your accountant and have it rechecked, you haven't gotten your budget answered. Right? If you have a question about your budget and you're giving an accurate budget and somebody's telling you, well, it's wrong, go get it checked, it can lead to bad information. So I think that is a big problem. It absolutely drives me crazy. Big pet peeve of mine. You know what you bring home. Take a look at your pay stub next time you get it and see if there's any excess in there, but you know your paycheck a lot better than he does. And finally, the 5th thing that Dave Ramsey gets wrong is the credit score. And how unimportant it really is, right, Dave? I thought this personally. When I was going through Financial Peace University, which is taught by Dave Ramsey, I thought, well, why am I ever going to worry about my credit score again? Because I'm never going to use credit, so to heck with it. You know, I'm not going to intentionally sabotage it, but I sure as heck am not going to care about it. Wrong. So Dave claims that the credit score, if you choose not to use credit anymore, is completely unimportant. And I don't go worship at the altar of the almighty FICO score, right? But I do think it's important to be mindful of what your credit score is. Always know where you're at.
I'm not going to be ignored, Dan.
Always be mindful of where it's at. And if there are issues that are coming up when you check it once or twice a year, try to address those. See if there's something you can fix. If you want to refinance your mortgage or even get your first mortgage for that matter, the best rates are going to go to those people that have a higher FICO score. Now, is that fair? I don't know. I don't make the rules. But it's going to be really important because that can save you thousands and thousands of dollars over the course of your mortgage, your second mortgage, or any other debt that you may have. It's very, very important. So don't let Dave tell you that the FICO score is unimportant and should be ignored. It could cost you in the long run. You know what else it'll cost you? It'll cost you all those credit card and airline miles points, all those sweet, sweet credit card and airline miles. I love them. They're really, really good. If your credit score isn't high enough, you won't even be eligible to get some of the premium travel credit cards. That's where you really can take advantage of your points, miles, and get a lot of the free travel that we've talked about on this channel. You won't even be able to sniff it. You won't be eligible for it. And we've talked about before, credit card companies like to send out a ton of applications, and that's fine, but if you want the premium cards to get the most rewards, your credit score does need to be at a certain level or you won't even get the chance to reap any of those rewards. Long story short, make sure you pay attention to your score, pull it once or twice a year, and make sure you stay on top of it. It's going to be really important. If you want me to do a deeper dive on, credit scores, comment down below. Let me know. We can do a separate video on that as well. So that's this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. I believe that Dave Ramsey does a ton of great work, or else I wouldn't have put his book up on the bookshelf behind me. He's very, very wise and very knowledgeable, but we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And in this video, hopefully I broke down a little bit of where I differ from Dave Ramsey's advice. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to be awesome, as always. Like the video, make sure you subscribe to the alerts. You don't want to miss any of the future advice we have coming up. We've got a lot more great information in store. We're going to talk about a lot of topics, have a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. We'll see you soon.